has not been instructed properly, because they have now given the choice to you with your buyer how you want to operate. Now me, I'd go in on seller agency because I would get better access right to their seller. They have relinquished their ability to control me, the other broker, when they've offered this out. That is a mistake. But you need to make sure you're checking that, okay? Now, okay, we come to another broker. What is he offering out? Now somebody said here, whenever, these are all other brokers' listings. None of these are our company listings. They're offering seller agency. If you checked off buyer agency on your disclosure form, and for some reason an issue came up that you had to wind up in front of an arbitration board, and that's when they start asking you for your documentation, if you produced broker agent, right? If you checked off broker agency and you get to the arbitration board, how much are you entitled to? Zero. Do you understand the complications of not doing this correctly? Okay? One deal, one mistake, and you'll never forget it again. Okay? And either will Tom. Yes.
I'll make sure you don't forget it.
One is your own listing, one is Century 21, the others are from other agencies. You haven't signed 3 different disclosures.
Thanks for asking that question. That is like unbelievable, okay? Because that's why we're here, because I'm going to show you what you should be using. But I just wanted to point out 1 or 2 more. Here you get the typical, doesn't want to deal with a buyer broker. They representing their client? Absolutely not. I'm not picking anybody in particular. Then you get this one. How about this one? 2, 2, and 1.5 for seller agency. Now what are they thinking? All right, let me go. I think I'll go seller agent on this one, right? We'll get to the lesson. So the point I'm trying to make is that here's what happened. Buyer comes into your office. Customer comes in. You need to have him. Now this form will be up on the intranet today. Well, maybe. I don't want to put Mike under pressure. The first thing you're going to do is obviously is your agency disclosure form, correct? And you're going to do seller agency. Bear with me. Clock is ticking. How many of you, and not my office, have seen this form? Not my office. Okay, this particular form very clearly, Century 21 American Home showing sheet. It's an addendum to the New York State agency disclosure form that was dated, and you put the date in, which will be on this form when you first met the person, between Century 21 American Homes and their licensee, your name, and the consumer's name, the customer. You put that on the file, okay? Then you start taking them out. I'm going to show them 4 properties today. I need to go to the MLS. I need to look at what they're offering out, and I need to fill in the address and which one it's going to be, seller's agent, broker's agent, and I have the buyer initial that after the showing. During your initial conversation with the buyer, if you explain to them this is how we do business, they'll sign it. There'll be no problem. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're not having initial consultations with your buyer, you're setting yourself up to fail. You really should be doing all of that up front. Now, so here's what one would look like done.
Gene.
Okay? Gene Siegel, who is here, who provided me with that. Gene, where are you? Right here. There she is. Okay. 7878, broker's agent. 834 Jefferson, seller's agent, buyer's initialing all. Now, somewhere along the line, we're hoping that it doesn't get this full and we actually get a deal. I don't know if Paul has ever bought anything. Oh, God. Pop, is that our first listing, too? No, okay. So, but yeah, so now this is how it should be done. Now, not only does this protect you by the law, what does it do for you? It gives you a permanent record of what you showed that person with their initial on it. It's a good document, okay? So you really, this is a form that will be available on the intranet site today. And go ahead.
Is that replacing the disclosure form then?
No, it's an addendum. This gets a stapled, a rough crowd. No, it gets attached with it, so that in the event, now just remember also, you are not required by law to submit you're not required to submit your agency disclosure to anybody asking you for it, so don't let them fool you on that, okay? But in the event that it was an arbitration case or some discrepancy and they asked you who are you representing, you might need to disclose it at that particular point. And you would disclose the original signed by the consumer, that he came in, hopefully he came in on like July 8th or July 7th as a seller's agent, working for the seller, and then subsequently he then showed those properties, some of which were broker agents, some were seller's agent. And then you have a permanent record on it. And so as you can see, different days, the one sheet. Now if you need more than one sheet, you go to a second sheet. Is everybody? Yes.
What about the liability issue on the seller's agent?
What about it?
Let's say I take somebody out and I tell them I'm a seller's agent and I misspeak about a fact, and it ultimately becomes a problem later on.
Well, depending on, I don't want to get into a big long thing on that, but depending on what you say, there is errors and omissions insurance for certain issues. Okay, that's why when we take a listing, you should never be doing what some agents do is, I'll fill in the blanks when I go back to the office and don't fill in all the information in front of the seller and have them sign off on the listing agreement, what you said came with the property, what you know about it. You have a duty up front to speak to your sellers and ascertain all the pertinent information. You never state something that you don't know to be a fact. If you misstate something, it could come back to haunt you. Listen, in my career, I've bought a couple of washing machines in my day, okay, where I stated that it was included and it wasn't included, and it clearly was told by the owner it wasn't included, and I made a mistake, and in order for that to close, we had to do that. So in that particular case, that's where that goes. So, but I can tell you right now, there's very few cases of vicarious liability going into the court. But, question?
If you sign up the buyer as a buyer's agent,
Correct.
then
What I would do, once you do the initial disclosure, and again, don't forget on disclosure form, the only time you're ever using this side of the form is when it's a buyer's agent. Customer is never on this side. Customer is always on this side. If you read the form, it will tell you, because I see agents do that.